Hello and welcome to Cosplay Craft Attack with myself, Mac, and joining us today is Terry Daedric Cosplay, who is
Hello.
an awesome armor builder, which we will get to in a minute because he's awesome. So, Cosplay Craft Attack, for anyone who doesn't know, is a complete mess, i.e. me, where I have to build a costume. And I do one part per week, but I only have one day to do it. That would be hard enough, except that there's an extra challenge. I cannot use any glue whatsoever. None. Not a single piece. None. Nothing. Can't use hot glue, can't use contact adhesive, can't use PVA, can't use wood glue. Yeah, that will go a long way to explaining why it's as embarrassingly bad as it is. It's actually not that bad, but it's at least humorous for you guys. So this week we've done the thigh pads from the Halo Spartan Mjolnir Mark V armor. I still don't know how to say all that in a row. But that's what we've done, the big chunks of armor that go on the thighs, which is why they're called thigh pads. And Terry is here to criticize, praise, look at it and wonder why the hell he agreed to this. Those first and last ones, they're probably going to be the most common, let's face it. So,
To be honest, making anything without glue, you get my praise straight away from that.
yeah.
I mean, I've never made anything without glue, so you've beat me
You're
already.
sensible.
Yeah.
But it actually works quite well because I brought you on here partly because of how amazing you are in general, but more specifically, you made Halo armor, which was the Master Chief armor from, looking at it, Halo 3?
No, it's actually the Reach armor.
Oh, okay.
It's the Noble Six's armor.
Right.
I based it on my character within the game. So all the
Right.
parts that I had for my Spartan, I made, and then because I went for the green and gold visor, everyone's like, "Oh, Master Chief!" Like, no, not Master Chief.
Mhm.
So I did a
It's
repaint
a lot
job.
more squashed and wide, and
Yeah.
the visor shape is different, but then again,
Yeah.
Master Chief's also had like 4 armor sets,
Yeah,
canonically, so it's a mess. But it looks awesome. But you also made that in a week,
I did.
and there's
Well,
around about 7 pieces.
I think there's more than that.
Well,
There's
there's 7 major pieces. There's the chest piece, the shoulders, hands, thighs, cod piece, legs, and helmet.
and boots.
Like the boots, yeah.
Oh, I've done
There's
two separate parts. So
Oh, yeah,
kind of
'cause of
separate.
course it's the shoe chunk and then the leg
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes,
Roughly 7 or 8 pieces. Yeah.
which is a nice analogue for the fact that I'm doing 7 of these. And I do them in one day each. Let's pretend it's... You'll see how much better it is when you can have the skills and use glue.
I just without using glue just seems impossible. So I'm interested to see how you do this.
It's doable. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
So, with that, if our glorious technical officer would like to throw up the video, and I can start crying.
Rocking back and forth.
Hello, okay, so this week we're going to be making the thigh pads, and much like with the shoulder pads, I'm going to try and create a net, reverse it, so that they end up at least somewhat like similar. That's what I'm hoping. We'll see if that happens. Probably going to run into a few issues as far as actually putting it all together goes, because I've got pretty chunky thighs, so the fit might be a bit odd, and I'm full of hope, okay? Not a lot I can do about that.
And now cue the, let's hope it tries and get it to fit somehow in some way, shape or form. my thought process was at least let's just sort of make one first and maybe try and then mirror it and it'll come out something that resembles right. I mean, thankfully with the thigh pads, there's no major difference between the two. So it is just a case of let's do one and then copy it. And of course make it as oversized as possible to begin with. I see a cat.
My mascot.
And so the order of the day with this will actually be, okay, I've got the size, let's try it on. Nope, still too big. Nope, still too big. Nope, still too big.
Yeah, too small is always a problem.
Oh yeah. I've learned this now with the glorious... Somewhere under my bed there is the Vambrace wrist guard things, and one of them's about 8 miles too big, the other is... It does go on. With a lot of teasing and a lot of... Oh god, please let this work, please let this work. I didn't want to repeat that second one.
Yeah, it's an issue that I find that when I'm making something, it's always that fear that it's always going to be too small. Too big I can work with, I can trim it down, but once it's too small, there's not much you can do. It's just the case of, right, scrap that, start again.
Because as with most sensible people who make armour, you tend to use Pepakura, don't you?
Ideally, yeah, because not only do I get the templates, but I've got a 3D model that I can actually spin around and get a 3D image. Whereas if you look at a 2D image from, say, Google, it's not really much to go off.
Yeah, because you can get the 5 or 6 angle turnaround as much as you want.
Yeah.
But having just a T-pose that you can just go, I just need a slightly more angle, yep, there we go. That's exactly the bit I need to see.
Also with Pepakura, even if you just freehand, you can actually on screen measure as well. So you can actually create your own templates. Yeah.
I think, who was it who said to use Pepakura? I want to say it was Mesh who we had on a couple of weeks ago. I may be getting that completely wrong. I've probably got that wrong. Would be. No, sorry, no, it was last week. It was Mombo, who was saying you can pay a little more on the program to save your sizing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got the full version, so I mean, I've paid for it now, so I've got it for life now. But it's definitely worth investing in, especially if you plan on making a lot of things. Like, see, we know my kids are involved now, so that's 3 more sets of armors as well as my own.
Yeah, and of course they're all going to be slightly different size.
I goofed. Did all of this work making sure that the inside was nice and solidly attached, and it was sized wrong.
Oh no.
Thankfully it was too big. But it meant I think I spent about 10-15 minutes getting it all solid so that it wouldn't just go. And then had to cut it all out and change the sizing. Thankfully I learned from that.
Was it like the bottom was too big? Like, was the top part okay, but the bottom was too small?
Top part was fine, but round the knee it was just way too big.
Yeah.
And of course, all of these videos do feature my dead-eyed stare, wishing that I'd not accepted this.
It'd be worth it in the end.
Oh yeah. Well, because at the end I'll have Spartan armor.
With no glue.
Yeah. I wish I hadn't agreed to the challenge bit. But we'll see. It's...
Duct tape is ingenious, though.
Oh yeah. Well, normally, like, if there's something that needs to go on top of it that needs to be invisible, I've been using double-sided tape.
Yeah.
Which works, kind of. But because most of the, like, curves are very small, it doesn't bind properly to it. And so there's so much pressure pulling it back out.
Yeah.
It's just slowly separating. And of course, whenever you hit it with any kind of heat to try and dry paint, it just goes right off.
Something like that, you'd want to heat it up and curve it round. So it wants to naturally stay in that shape.
Okay then. That took a while. A long while. What I'm going to do now is take this gaffer tape off and then put these one on top of the other and show you how much of this I've cut off.
Yeah.
It's quite a fair amount.
So, yeah. I cut a fair bit off. You know, just a little bit.
Trial and error.
Mostly error. But, I mean...
So, I'm very much hoping that cutting the second one out will be quicker. It's going to have to be, because that took a while. A long while.
I think that 9 or 10 minutes of footage, I cut a lot of bits out, but I'm pretty sure it was in the order of about 2 hours of just staring at a reference picture going, does it curve in? Does it curve out? Does it curve in? How high does it go? Where does it go?
We've all been there, even with templates.
Well, the template is only going to be perfect for the person it was made for.
Yeah.
So that was a damn sight quicker.
Yeah, I think it was about 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
By a lot. A lot. Now I need to construct them. Help.
Yeah, this was the bit I actually enjoyed, because it was just sort of like, hey, you know this mostly full roll of gaff tape? It's not going to be full after this. Just so much going across and then over and across and then over, and I don't want to just be walking around wearing it and it just go, boom, just sort of flop off onto something.
You might have revolutionised flat pack armour.
Jess, can we market that? Just throwing loads of tape at it was actually the quickest bit. It was also the most enjoyable bit. IKEA cosplay, that's it. Does anyone know anyone Swedish who could talk to them?
You'll have to come with no instructions, though, to be proper IKEA.
Oh, look. Let's put it so I'm actually in the microphone. Look, a completed one, hopefully. Let's try it on just in case.
But yeah, so I did cut out the trying on bit because it was a bit... I'm working with limited space, so it was a bit weird and awkward. But it did fit. It fit well enough. But at that point I was like, I'm running out of time. Because I still need to paint this. I'm having to build every piece and paint it in one day.
Oh, I see. So it's not just a case of building, you've got to actually finish the piece as well.
Yes, this is the major part of the struggle, and you'll see how horrendously it affects the filming soon. Because the weather on that day was pretty grim.
Oh, so high humidity.
It was humidity and it was lighting as well.
Yeah. It's the downfall of living in the UK. It's always miserable.
Yeah.
And when it is sunny, you're usually at work.
Oh yeah.
You think to yourself, you'll be at home painting right now.
Before anyone says anything about it, yes. I am not good at using this safely.
Yeah, to get it properly IKEA flat pack, we'd just have to include vaguely reminiscent pictures.
They've improved a little, they're not quite as...
And a load of numbers that don't make sense.
Tiny little numbers, so you can't even read them.
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Either way, that's these built. And they fit. And they look roughly the same. They're extremely simple, and most of the colouring is going to be done with copious amounts of masking and painting. Very soon.
Thankfully, though, Snow, the health and safety executive does not own us yet. But that was the long and drawn out process of please fit, please fit, please fit, damn it doesn't fit, gonna have to cut more off. But they looked reasonably something like, I'm just going to turn slightly to hide things, because I definitely don't have them behind me. Yeah, so
here's one I made earlier.
That was my hell of a morning. Let's talk about something much better. You and your armor and cosplays, which are fantastic. I'm going to be fanboying a little bit. There's nothing I can do about that.
Making me blush.
Yeah. So what actually got you into building armor?
To be honest, it's a bit of a sad story, but me and my ex-missus now, we broke up. I moved out, and basically I had a lot of time on my hands. And it's like, I need to find something to do, otherwise I'm going to go insane. I started off just going out cycling, like long distance cycling off-road, and then my bike broke. I was like, I need something else now. And by chance, a friend of mine that I met from school posted about going to MCM Birmingham, and they posted pictures. I'm like, I want to get on this bandwagon. And I researched, and at the time I was playing Skyrim, and I thought, I want to make something from the game. And obviously I had no idea where to start, so it just with Google, just Googling costumes, and I'd never heard of cosplay. I never even heard of Comic-Con other than from film and TV and such. I didn't realise it was an actual thing. Anyway, so I found a guy in America who made the Daedric armour. So I started bugging him about how he made it, and he sent me the Peppercura files. And fortunately, he's a similar height and build to me, so it didn't need much tweaking. Anyway, so I asked him, like, what do you do? How do you get from paper to foam to making a piece of armour? And he sent me a link to his progress pictures and such. And then I made the Daedric armour. That was 4 years ago now. And then since then I've made other little things, but this year was the big year where I took on a challenge of building 4 costumes within 5 months.
Wow, that's
so
brave.
I've definitely up my game, but I definitely took on more than I could chew. Should I say? You know that these are the costumes that I made for my kids. So that's for my middle daughter, who's funnily enough, called Lydia, and the character she's cosplaying is Lydia. She's not named after the character. She was born before the game came out. So just throw that out there before people say, "What you named after the character?" No, not quite. Although this was her idea, because I gave them the option of who do they want to be, and my eldest wanted to be a Nightingale. The youngest originally wanted to be Daedric as well. I was like, I don't want to make that again. I've made it once, don't want to make it again. And I managed to persuade him to be Dovahkiin. I said, look, he's the main character. You get to shout. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll do that then. So he's really into that. And then Lydia said, I'll be Lydia. I was like, I love you, child. It's so brilliant. And they're absolutely loving it. I mean, they got tired of pulling the costumes on every 5 minutes. You know, again, like with you making that just test fit. Obviously, I can't test fit it on me. I'm slightly bigger. Just like, right, come here, try this on. Right, now you need to try it with this bit on, because this is something I found for myself, is that when I'm making an armor, I need to be able to put it on myself because I'm on my own. And the same with the kids, they need to be able to put it on themselves if need be.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I will be there with them. I'm not going to just, like, off you go. Off it to yonder. But yeah, that was the reason I got into it, and the kids have kind of grew up around it, so now they're into it as well now. Yeah. I mean, we're already planning next year now. So.
Oh, God. So it's become the cosplay family outing. This is what we do now.
Pretty much. I mean, the first event was last year that I took them to. And I didn't want to go into great effort in case they didn't enjoy it. So I bought their costumes and maybe added little bits to it. So, like, for my daughter, she was Astrid, and I made the axe for her.
Yeah.
Alfie, my son, he was Goku. So I've got a pouch, and we bought some jelly beans and put jelly beans in there to give out as senzu beans.
Senzu beans, yeah.
Yeah, and for my middle daughter, she wanted to be Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. I thought, it's not much in prop-wise that you can give a dragon. So I just got her this rubber fish. It's like, yeah, they eat fish. There you go. You can just slap people around the face with that. But yeah, this year we went all out.
Tiny little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. And to play on the size, you can see that photo there. That obviously they're playing adults within the game. Yeah. I'm taller than them. And somebody said, you're going to look like a giant. I thought, there's giants in the game. So I made the giant from Skyrim.
And it looks fantastic. But it also looks quite different to a lot of what you've done generally. It seems to be a lot more cloth and fur based.
The giant is, yeah. Obviously, with the kids' armors, it's all EVA foam. Alfie's, though, the Dovahkiin, there's a lot more fur and fabric involved in that one. But the giant, yeah, I've got it here conveniently. But yeah, you can see there's just lots of like pelts of fur that make up the actual. I'd say look great in photos, but so what? It's only a cosplay con. You know, it's nothing a bit of editing won't do.
Aye.
Another issue that I first discovered was when I first made the Daedric. It rained, and I sealed my armor in soluble glue.
Oh dear.
When it got wet, my armor slowly turned white. I was like, no. This was my first ever event as well, so I spent ages on this, and it's going white. So somebody walking past had some bin bags, so they bin bagged me up, and I managed to get into the event and took all the bin bags out, and then it dried off, and it was everything was fine. But you need to consider weather, not even the rain, heat, because as you said yourself, if something's bent and it gets too warm, it wants to pop back out. The sun does that, as you know. You know, a warm day, your armor might just want to unfold, and you're left with your flat pack armor again.
Which is where having a load of rolls of duct tape might be useful.
Exactly. You tape yourself up and look like a mummy. Again, paint is a factor as well. A lot of people might use spray paint. Obviously, you need the facility to do that. Don't do it in your house. That's stupid.
Oh, God, no.
You want to be in well-ventilated areas, so ideally outside. But again, British weather, if it's high humidity, if it's windy, you don't stand much of a chance to use spray paints. I solely use acrylics and nothing else. And I get them off eBay. I get big pots of acrylics like this. I've got a nice selection now for everything I've made. So, what else could go wrong? What else obviously, we mentioned the sizing issues and templates and things like that. That's trial and error. If you're making your own templates, it's best to make it on paper first, and then it's easier to adjust the paper, and you can mark on it and then take it off, adjust, and then you're not wasting material than foam and such.
Yeah.
If you're using paper cure like myself, I've got no advice on that because I have made so many errors on paper cure. So
trial and error on some of them.
Yeah, it's just you name it, it can go wrong. But
and speaking of things,
sorry, I just
speaking of things going wrong though, we should probably play the painting video and we'll see how things can go wrong.
Oh, shush.
No reason to not interrupt you because that was all really good stuff.
The weather has cleared up and it's a hell of a lot brighter, which is wonderful for my filming because if it wasn't brighter, this video would probably look a wee bit... let's use a word that is not swearing. It would not look good. So, you may notice, got a new microphone. That arrived as I was setting off, so I'm going to have a play around with that. Regardless of that, what we have is 2 thigh pads, which sit on my legs like this, but I'm not going to do it right now because then I actually have to take them back off. So I'm going to throw some primer on, throw some plastic coat, and then throw some top coat paint on, and we will see the results of that.
Welcome to hell. Luckily, when it comes to painting, on a day that was very changeable, I do have access to a large, well-ventilated unit.
Yeah.
But that has its own problems. Namely, the lighting in there is pretty horrendous. So,
would you say that was lighting just for recording, or was that...
That's both those coated with a bit of high build primer. The can is now empty, so what I'll do is leave those dry for call it 10 minutes, stick another layer on from a different can, and then leave that to dry for 10 minutes, and then some of the grey, and then we'll go from there and see what happens.
Sorry, what were you saying?
You said there's a lighting issue. Was that just for recording, or was it actually for your visibility while working?
It was more for the recording on one of the cameras, but in general it was a bit... You really just get weird lighting in places. I couldn't see some of the time whether or not I'd actually fully coated any areas.
I've got advice for that because I don't do spray undercoats. I do brush on with either PVA or gesso or Mod Podge. Is that on my first coat I'll leave it to dry, then on the second coat I'll change the colour, so I add a little bit of acrylic paint, just change colour, and then when I coat over I can see then where I've done, and then the third coat I'll do a different colour.
Okay,
just keep doing that just so I can see that I've covered everywhere, because if you're just doing a base coat the same colour, like you said, in some places you might get a couple of coats, but in some places you might miss completely.
Yeah. I mean, with the grey it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, because you got the differentiation of colour.
Yeah.
Alright, so with the priming done now, what I think I'm actually going to do is...
Here's where you see the lighting problems.
Just leave them for a bit, let them dry, and then throw some black on them because the base is black. Once that's all done, then we move on to masking up and throwing a little bit of green on, and hopefully then we're done because I'm starting to run out of time. It's not going to be light for that much longer.
Guess what? It wasn't. Although one of the cameras deals a lot better with the reduced lighting. But it did suddenly get brighter again.
Because I did very thin layers of primer, it's actually reasonably dry quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is hit it with the black, nice thin layer. I'll try and focus it more towards the edges where it's actually necessary, and then we will wait for that to dry, mask up, and then the green.
The black was actually one of the hardest to work out. Is it actually covering? Even though there's a big colour difference. It was like, does that look like wet paint? Does that not look like wet paint?
I think it's the shine, isn't it? Because you're reflecting white light back.
Yeah.
Certain angles, it's like, wait, is that white? Oh no, it's black. Wait a minute. I understand where that's going to. Yeah. This
is probably also where hand painting rather than spray painting would be a lot better. Cue me trying to make it dry. Or fly,
yeah,
I'm not quite sure.
They've both got pros and cons because spray painting's faster.
Yeah.
Or, hand painting, you can see, you can rotate, you can change the angle. Like when you're spraying, you kind of got to move around it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've recently bought an airbrush, so I'm going to have a similar problem with spray painting because it's essentially the same problems.
Yeah. Because you probably also going to need to use a lot more thinners and things like that with an airbrush. Yeah. It's also the fact that I was stupid and picked a gloss.
Oh, it takes longer to dry.
It takes longer to dry, and I don't think it looks as good, unfortunately. But that is what it is. I can't change it now.
Okay, so that's one of these masked up. And now I'm going to mirror that on the other one.
But spray paint and cheap masking tape also don't play very nice together. This is what I'm learning.
Did the masking tape take the paint off by any chance?
We're going to find out very shortly. Because I had to let it dry overnight. So you get a live unmasking.
Oh. Exciting times.
So we'll find out. But it was more of the masking paint. The masking paint?
I know what you meant.
The masking tape, because the paint obviously made it wet, started to lift in places.
I've had that problem.
The finish might be a bit. I
think that's why most actual masking tapes for wet paint is like plasticky, not like insulation tape, but more. It's more waterproof, so it kind of repels the water.
Plasticizer to the actual tape itself, rather than just the adhesive.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm just hoping it turned out roughly similar.
Symmetry is very difficult. I mean,
especially on anything round, it's like, is that anything like?
Yeah, I mean, if I got my two van braces and put them next to each other, you could see a blatant difference in them both. Because you mentioned it actually at the start of your video, was either do I do them both at the same time, or do I do one and then try and mirror it? Which, again, that technique has a pro and con. Okay,
so with both of those now completely masked up, in something that at least vaguely resembles an appropriate way, time to throw some green on them and hope the final result is not horrendous.
There's a lot of hope involved in everything I do. But since what you're now seeing is that, let's have some live removal of tape. Yeah, so guess what? It did strip off some of the black. Should anyone pretend to be surprised?
Battle damage.
Yeah, that's what we'll go for.
Okay, so usual job of leave that to dry for a while, probably whack on another coat, and then take off the masking tape, and let's pray it turns out a bit better this time.
And it's moved from less than ideal lighting to horrendous light. So very shortly I will decide in that video, actually, let's not unmask today. Because I can't see what's going on. Yep, there we go. Let's just grab that one. Oh, try not to strip all of the paint off, please, or any of the gaff tape. We don't want this to just give up and die. And there we go. There is something that vaguely resembles a thigh pad.
Looks good.
I remember the theory of, because this is going to be on the inside of my thigh, it's not as much of a worry in terms of it being visible.
The thing is, though, it kind of gives it that metallic look, like it's a metal plate. So, I mean, from on camera, I mean, I don't know what it looks like to you, but from here, it just looks like it's worn off. You know, the paint is worn off, and because it's on the inside of your leg, that would make sense.
I think that's. I think where it looks like it's worn is actually paint. I think that's just like the overspray from the black.
Yeah.
Because I tried to end it around about there, but obviously it didn't work quite that well.
But it worked out because, like I said, it looks like it's worn off, but not completely. It's not like a polished finish. You know, if metal wears away, you know, a paint finish on metal.
Yeah, it tends to show raw metal, but in a damaged way.
Yeah, so from my perspective, looking at that, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how well it turned out. So I changed the final colour finish from the what was it? The Plasticoat. I got it right. I'm so impressed with myself. I changed it from the Plasticoat to the because I didn't like the colour as much.
Yeah.
To whichever Halford's green paint I bought. Shout out to Halford's. With the only ones open, or I'm not going to date that because that's a specific day where I should have been finished much earlier. But yeah, I'd say it's better than it could be.
I'm actually, from what I can see here as well, is you can see the black through the green as well. So it's like kind of like it's not a solid green color.
Yeah.
I don't want to say patchy because patchy makes it sound like it's a bad job, but the way it looks, I really like it. It's like a
mottled,
like a two-tone. It's like iridescent, you know.
Yeah.
You change it and it looks a different color in certain lights. So
because in the actual canon, I think it's one of the books says specifically says it's like an iridescent green.
Yeah.
But I don't have the 4 or 5 days necessary to produce like a pearlescent paint job.
Yeah.
Even though I do know that if I was doing it in large quantities, I'd have the stuff available to do that, which would be lovely, but it's 1 day.
Yeah.
Because in theory, doing that is creating a luminous base coat and then the top coat.
Yeah.
But as it stands, it's just throw paint at it and hope.
I think though sometimes you can overwork something. You know.
Yeah.
You know, simplicity at its best, and that, from what I can see here, I really like that color.
Yeah, it's
kind of got that weathered, dirty, grimy look. You know.
Wait till you see the other one which fell on the floor while the paint was still wet.
Oh. Battle damage.
Yeah, that's what it is, definitely. But so those are the final results. I'll do the other one in a bit because unfortunately we're starting to run low on time. But if you were to say give that a score out of 10, discounting the fact that it had to be done without glue, discounting the 1 day, if you were to see that on a con floor as part of another armor that's equivalent to that, what sort of score would you give out of 10?
Oh, this is difficult because, like you said, if I've got to discount everything that's gone into making it, I don't like being put on the spot like this.
Well, unfortunately, that's what we've done. Sorry about that.
I need to see it again. Show me again, please. So I'm not allowed to think about the method of making it.
Well, I mean, if you want to be kind and do
because
that.
I want to mark you on your creativity and your ingenuity. I'll go midway then. I'm going to say 5. I'll give you a 5.
I'd be quite happy with that.
I'm not allowed to, because I'm genuinely impressed with the way that you made it, for one, the way that you faced the problems, with the sizing issue, and then the ingenuity of actually using duct tape. Because to be honest, when you said no glue, I thought, there's not many ways you can actually put it together. I thought masking tape to start with. Duct tape did slip in slightly, but then when I saw you doing it, it's like, yes, duct tape. See, to not mark you on that stuff is a bit unfair after seeing you making it.
I mean, if you were to include that,
a 9 or a 10.
Oh, sweet.
Because of given the fact that you did it in a day, and the process, having to prime it and seal it and paint it, that's a lot to do in one day.
Yeah.
I try and spread things out. I mean, I've never done one part at a time, then paint it. I know a lot of people do, but I did it with the kids' armor and my own. It was make it all, seal it all, then paint it all, because I don't have to keep getting paint a bit and put it away.
Well, especially in terms of that, you end up with a much more consistent finish paint-wise.
Well, I don't know where you can see this. Just as an example, the armband for my giant was to get the kind of rusted iron look. So I'd have to mix browns and oranges and reds and blues to get all the rusty colour. But I don't have to keep remixing these colours and get different tones all the time. Yeah. I'd rather do it in one batch and then do it all in one foul swoop.
Yeah, and get all your weathering similar and
so
get it looking appropriate.
For you to do this one piece at a time and paint it one piece at a time, I'd tip my hat to you, because that would do my head in. I'd rather...
I'm saying nothing.
Because me personally, I like to rotate. So the first piece of paint sealed, go around. By the time I've done the last one, the first one should be ready to get on to the next step.
Yeah.
And rotate around. And then, but for you to just kind of twiddle your thumbs and wait while you're waiting for the next piece, I couldn't do that. So my utmost respect.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being so kind about the actual finished quality of it. But unfortunately, I think that's us around about out of time. So I would like to say thank you so much to Terry Daedric Cosplay, who has been wonderful. And you can find him on Facebook under that same name of Terry Daedric Cosplay, and on Instagram, because he's sensible and has the same name on every platform he uses.
I thought it'd be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, it creates a nice brand image, doesn't it?
It just makes it easier for sharing stuff around as well.
Yeah, true. Makes it easy to find what you're looking for. But at the end of this week, on Friday, we have a stream with Xanth Thunder with Mayamori Cosplay. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm told that's how you pronounce that. So that'll be at 8 p.m. I don't know. I barely speak English. There's also a great one he put up last week, which was the Coscraft interview. So if you've not seen that, go watch it, because that's really interesting from a cosplay business perspective, which I think a lot of us wish we could do, myself included. But so that's on Friday. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. on here again is Fandom Theory, which will be probably quite ridiculous. If fandoms are involved, it's always a bit ridiculous. But that will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. So join us for that, have a bit of fun, have a laugh, and we'll be back at the same time next week. By same time, I mean 8 p.m., not 7 p.m. Same time as we normally do. I know what I'm talking about. Next week, not next week, tomorrow, Fandom Theory is movies, apparently. I completely forgot to type up the notes for that. Yep, I'm clever. So, it will also be a lot more organised than I am. Because, yeah. Anyway, that's it from us. thank you so much, Terry, for joining and being so kind about the way I managed to solve the problem that is my acceptance of this challenge.
I'm very proud to have said that I've been involved.
Right then.
I'm quite impressed.
And with you being that nice, we might invite you back.
Oh, please do. I've been attacked by a moth. Sorry, I'm not just juggling.
Fair enough.
Here it is. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there. That's gone.
Oh, well. I think, yeah, that'll do from us. So, thank you, everybody. And goodbye till Tuesday tomorrow, because that's when Fandom Theory is. And then Friday. And then me again on Monday. And then rinse and repeat. Bye, everyone.